millionth time.
I'm so
See
sorry.
what's happened? See what happened when... All right. Okay. Yes, do you have any questions?
No.
Very much. Okay. Now we'll do the dissection of an eye. Okay, this is a cow eye. And from the external surface you can see this is the cornea. Okay? And the connection or the transition from the cornea to the sclera, which is still the outer layer of the eye, we're going to see it in a moment, is called the limbus. Okay? Now, why is this turbid? We'll talk about it. Because there's another structure that is also going to be turbid. Okay? Milky. And we're going to see it in a moment when we go inside the eye. You can see here the connective tissue, and you can see remnants of muscles. Okay, so these were this here. Yes, these are muscle remnants that were attaching the eye. You know, we have 6 muscles that are attached to the outer connection or outer cover of the eye. All right, technically it's the sclera, right? And these are 4 recti, 1 superior oblique, 1 inferior oblique. Okay? And so this is all the tissue that is connecting the eye to the surrounding structures. Okay? And you can see also here, if you look closer, you will see that this is the conjunctiva. You see the black lining area here, the black layer here. See this? Okay? So this technically starts from the limbus and it goes all the way to line the inside of an upper and a lower lid. Okay? And it makes what we call a fornix. Okay? So you know what a fornix is. Okay? So when you pull one of your lids down or up, there is like a little pocket. That's the fornix. Okay? And the lining of the lid and the sclera up to the limbus is the conjunctiva. Okay? Very thin, see-through layer of simple squamous epithelium. Okay? Alright, so this is what you see from the outside. You can also see from the outside the optic nerve if you have good eyes, which is right here, unfortunately, because all the tissues look the same. Okay? It's either white or see-through. There's no third option there, except when you see the inside, you can see black. So this is the optic nerve. We'll find out later on if this is correct or not, so don't worry about it right here. So to study the parts of the eye, we are going to make a little puncture, okay, on the sclera. You cannot make a puncture with scissors because the sclera is very tough. Okay? That's why they call it sclera, because it's very hard. Okay? So the word sclero means hard. Yes? You agree, Anna? Yes? If you don't agree, let me know. So this is the sclera, and you can see the hardship I'm going through to cut it all over. Okay, now we're going to open the eye. Okay, no, it's not creepy.
It's crazy.
No, this is creepy. Now you can see here there is a very thin layer that crumpled on itself. This one here, you see? Okay, this used to be the retina. Okay, which is the innermost layer of the posterior compartment of the eye. Okay, so with the action of formaldehyde, it does shrink on itself and it becomes like so. It's very, very thin, see-through, and has the rods and cones that do appreciate and sense the light. Okay? Now, how did I know for sure that this is the retina? It's very simple. If I would take the fluid out, which wasn't supposed to be a fluid actually. In real life, it is like a jelly-like substance called the vitreous humor. Okay? It is see-through, but it, as said, it denatures and dissolves with formaldehyde with the preservative. Okay? Now, if you go and follow where this retina was attached, unfortunately, I have to empty this. Okay? And you see where it's attached? Okay? Okay? Because this is what happens. Okay? The whole inside lining is the retina, and then it boils down into the fibers that make up the optic nerve. Yes? So whatever it is attached after it shrinks, this is where the optic nerve is supposed to be. Okay? It makes a foramen, an opening of some kind, through which the optic nerve is here. So remember when I told you this is the optic nerve? This confirms that this is optic nerve. Okay? Well, it's cut off flush, so you cannot see it. You have to come very close. Got it? Okay? So this is how I know that this was for sure the optic nerve. Make sense? Okay? No, I cannot go through. This is very hard. Okay? It does go through. Okay? But it makes a very thick stalk, if you want to stem, mix up the optic nerve. All right? Now, what you see here is the second layer, all right, which is the choroid. Okay? So this layer here is the choroid.
The bluish, right?
Yes, no, the black. It's not bluish. You see?
It does look blue.
Yeah.
I know. I know. Looky. Isn't this black? Yes.
Cows don't have irises like humans.
Patience on the verge. It's coming up. It's coming up. Remember, you cannot see the iris because we are in the posterior compartment. Okay? The iris is in the anterior compartment. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. So this is the choroid, which is the second layer, filled with blood vessels and makes up the chamber of the eye. Well, I take chamber out because there are chambers anteriorly. So this is the middle layer that makes the inside of the eye very, very dark. The same concept was taken to make the camera. Okay? If you would have opened the camera, older one, the ones that had the film, okay? And you would see that it's all black from the inside. It's pitch black. Yes? And there is one little opening only where the light goes through, which is the pupil. So they copied the exact same thing, and the retina was supposed to be, or the film is supposed to be where the retina is in the human eye, and it takes the picture. So the picture is reflected on the retina from the lens, and from there it sits on the film that you can develop, or it is sensed by the rods and cones to go to the occipital lobe and so on via, the pathway of the optic nerve and the optic tract and whatnot. Okay? Now, you see the second layer here, choroid. The third layer, as said, is the shell that is outside, which is the sclera. Okay? I don't know how you can learn from the back. And then you get here into so that's the posterior compartment. But before you get into the anterior portion of the eye, you will be seeing the ora serrata. So this is a serrated region all around the iris, okay? And technically it separates the iris and the lens because the lens is there. We just moved it out, okay? And it separates this from the vitreous humor, okay? Which is located where? In the posterior compartment only, okay? Now, what is the lens here? The lens is right there, okay? And it's supposed to sit this way, okay? Now see, this is some leftover of the vitreous humor, all right? But again, this was see-through. It was transparent. It was lucid. It was not turbid like this. Okay? So was the lens. Otherwise, how would the light go through if this was turbid? Okay? Common sense, yes? Everything has to be very, very clear. Okay? Now, again to the same question. Why did these change to white and as well as the cornea? Because as soon as they die, either by dehydration or by the addition of acid or by heat, they turn from transparent to white. Okay, technically, because they're made of protein, and this is the denaturing of the protein that changed them from transparent to turbid. Okay? And this is a situation actually that happens in cataract. Okay? Anybody knows what a cataract is in real life? What is a cataract?
Cataract?
Yes. What is it?
A foggy
A
lens.
cataract,
Foggy lens.
in real life, hello.
Like your cancer thing again, where nobody knew what it was?
No.
Not like that.
Something I don't know.
No, it doesn't depend on
Something to do with
anything.
the eye.
No.
It's a pathology, right?
No.
So you're saying, what does the pathology get its name from?
That's not what I said. I said, what is a cataract in real life? A cataract in real life is a hurdle of some kind within the stream of a river, usually rocks, okay, or weeds or whatever. There is a cataract and the river goes, the stream goes and then goes around the cataract, okay? So if it's clear, there's nothing in it, this is how you want to see the lens of the eye. But if there are little hurdles in the middle, you got cataracts in the lens and you won't be able to see clear. Make sense? Yes? So fogginess if you want, little spots if you want, whatever you want to call them, but these are called cataracts and these are indication for changing of the lens, so removal of that lens because it's technically dying. Okay? Now, what is when do you do the cataract? Usually you have to wait and the doctor will tell you when it's really blurry, when it's ripe. Okay? When the cataract is ripe, it means when it's really bad, then we have to take it out. Okay? It's a 5-minute surgery. Okay? They make a little opening in the limbus and they take the lens out, they pull it out, it comes out right away. They leave it they leave the capsule, put another lens in because the lens is in a capsule. So they suck up the fluid, okay? And they put another one right away out of glass immediately, and that's the surgery. Okay, it's a piece of cake. So that's the cataract, but it has to be really bad so you cannot see it. So okay, if you have a real blurry vision, you can live with it, and it usually is a disease of old age. Okay, so you cannot make a cataract. Okay, all right, unless there are some systemic disease that can cause that, but we're not getting into this. So this is the lens, as said. Okay, and this is the zona ciliaris. You see that black zone here? This is where it was attached to the ciliary ligament. You see that black circle there? Yes? This is where it was attached to the ciliary ligaments that pull and push on the lens, relax it and pull on it and to make you happy and chillax it. And this will make the lens, make it easy for you to accommodate. Okay, so when you read, okay, you have to relax those ligaments, okay, and the lens has to be thicker, okay, so you can focus closer. And when you look at the horizon far away, you have to put some pull on the lens, okay, to make it flat, so you can see as far as possible, okay. So technically, you are relaxing those muscles, the muscles of the eye in general, when you look far away? Don't you relax your eyes and you feel more relaxed and calm when you look at the sea? Okay? When you're on a beach and you look at the sea at the horizon rather than looking at a building or a wall. Okay? That's why, because when you look at the wall and then you read and you do this and the TV and here and there, you have to keep moving the lens. Okay? You have to keep contracting, relaxing, contracting, relaxing, contracting, open the iris and closing the eye, open the pupil, closing the pupil, that kind of stuff. Okay? Well, it puts some strain on the eye. But if you just look at the horizon, far away, you don't have to focus on anything. You don't have to make your eyes work. That's why you relax. Okay? So, this is the zona, what did you say? What is it called? Zona? That fast? This is the zona ciliaris, okay? Where it attaches the lens to the ciliary body. All right? Now, in front of the lens, now we're done with the posterior compartment, has nothing other than the vitreous humor, okay? And the retina in the back, ora serrata, and then the lens anteriorly. Okay? The posterior surface of the lens. Yes? And then you go to the anterior compartment of the eye, which is, as everything else in life, comes in how many flavors? Two flavors. There we go. Anterior chamber, posterior chamber. Okay? The posterior chamber is between the anterior surface of the lens and the iris. Okay? And the anterior chamber is between the anterior surface of the iris and L cornea. Okay? Now, what's the communication between the anterior and posterior chambers? The pupil. All right? So here is the iris. Okay? Remember, now we open the posterior chamber. Okay? Because we moved the lens away. Yes? So here is the iris. Okay? Here is the iris. And what's in the middle is the pupil. Okay? Iris, the black. Okay? And the pupil is in the middle. Alrighty? So you align the lens with the pupil. With the cornea, this is where the light goes through the eye. Okay? And as said, between where I have my probe now is the anterior chamber. Make sense? Okay? Between the iris and the cornea. And here is the cornea. Now it's getting very thick because it has been denatured. Usually the cornea has 5 layers, okay? And the newer surgeries of fixing myopia or hypermetropia is nothing other than shaving off certain layers, superficial layers of the lens, of the cornea rather. So taking them away, flipping them over, putting them back, but taking some of the layers from the inside to adjust the vision and the curvature of the cornea that was affected by either myopia or hypermetropia. Okay? And the lens, there is nothing you can do about the lens, so it goes out of commission in cataract, as said, has to go bye-bye, and then you put a new one in. Alrighty? And I guess that's all you need to know about the eye. Feel free to ask me any questions, because you would have some of those structures on L-test. Okay? Now we get into the kidney. Yes?
Is the fovea something we can see in there, or is that...
Thank you for this question. It's a beautiful question, because the fovea here is on the retina. Okay?
Yes.
So if you don't have a retina, you cannot see the fovea. Okay? Technically, what you can see, or you can know the location of, is nothing other than the blind spot. Because where is the blind spot? Is when all the fibers of the retina collect and make up the optic nerve. Yes? So that spot here, where they collect, has to be the, I can't find it anymore, has to be the optic, the blind spot, where you cannot see anything. It's really blind, all right? So you look at the nerve, and this is
like
the
below
blood.
the nerve.
Yeah, oh, I did gets thick of all the retina. So you have a little puncture in the sclera there. Okay, where the nerve comes out.
Can
Yes.
you go over the anterior chamber again?
Yes, piece of cake. Now remember, how did the anterior chamber exist? This is the lens in its normal position. Okay? So when you look at the eye like so, you are looking only into the posterior compartment. Okay? Now, what is the limit between the anterior and posterior compartment? Is the lens. Okay? So the lens technically separates the eye into two compartments. Okay? The posterior compartment has one section only. There's nothing in it, other than, as said, the vitreous humor. Okay? Now, the anterior compartment has two parts, or two chambers, if you want. Okay? So there's a compartment, or a section, or a portion, if you want, and there is a chamber. Okay? So the chamber has a door and a wall. Yes? Okay? The posterior wall of the chamber is the anterior wall of the lens. Yes? And the anterior wall of the chamber number 2, okay, or the posterior one, that is, okay, the anterior door of it, or the cover of it, is the posterior surface of the iris. Make sense? So iris in front, lens in the back, posterior chamber. Okay? Iris in the back, cornea in front, that's the anterior chamber. Okay? Communicate with each other via the pupil. Okay? That's why when you take a section of the iris, you see a line, and then nothing, and then a line. Okay? When you look at it, it's a total circle, and it closes and opens. What closes and opens? The pupil. Okay? To adjust the amount of light going in and out. Okay? So, these are the parts of the eye that you're supposed to know. Sclera, again. In the middle is the choroid. Retina is here. You cannot see it anymore. Ora serrata, where the retina ends and starts the structure of the, or the root, if you want, of the iris. It's a muscle, iris muscle, okay? And you have the iris here. Before the iris, or posterior to the iris, you have the lens. And the lens is attached by ciliary ligaments, ciliary body, and suspensory ligaments, okay? And they all in one area. The function is to hold the lens, okay? And as said, pull and push on it to make it thinner or thicker depending on the accommodation, okay? And you have right anterior to the lens, as said, you have the iris, okay? And this ends what? The posterior chamber, okay? Go through the iris, go through what? The pupil. And then you are now in the anterior chamber, which is between the iris and the cornea. And the cornea you can see from here. If you look from the back of the eye, or the inside of the eye, you can see only what? You can see the pupil, which is the central part of the retina, the cornea, I'm sorry. All righty? Any questions or concerns? All right. Now,